US-Venezuela tension seems to have escalated in the recent time after American warships have attacked the boats coming from Venezuelan side, claiming that it was harboring drug traffickers. Now, it seems that US has launched a large-scale drug war against the South American country of Venezuela, but many scholars and experts also argue that this might be nothing but an attempt to create a chaos in country, and that can lead into regime change. So, what we are seeing today in Venezuela is a repeat of the same story that US has done in the case of Iraq, it has done in the case of Afghanistan and several other countries. So we have seen military strikes, CIA operation, and for the first time US president has accepted clearly that CIA is operating on his directions, on his directives in Venezuela, and how this entire situation is going to unfold in the South American region and what is going to be its geopolitical fallout. Let us try to understand this in more detail. Now, to give you the background of this new Caribbean conflict, in the recent times, US has carried out another set of strikes where 6 narco-terrorists were killed off the Venezuelan coast. Over 27 people have been reportedly killed in such attacks that has been carried out by the Americans since last month. Now, Trump has claimed that vessels were drug trafficking routes and they were coming through drug trafficking routes, and the attempt of these vessels was to ensure that these drugs reaches the American coast. Venezuela, on the other hand, has called that such kind of strikes are strikes of aggression. It has nothing to do with the war on terror, and this is being used by American president. This is being used by an American president as a pretext of creating a chaos and regime change in the case of what you can call as Venezuela. Now, apart from that, if we try to think of what is the statement that is coming from Trump. So Trump has clearly stated that is nothing but in part of anti-narcotics operation. Trump also has stated that currently US has sent 8 warships, a nuclear submarine, and also fighter jets, and these all have been deployed to the Caribbean region to ensure that any misadventure by Venezuela can be answered in a resolute terms. Operation aims to combat drug smuggling to US. Trump also stated that we are just stopping them right now in the sea, but will stop them by land also if need be. Critics, on the other hand, call it nothing but the cover for intervention in the domestic political affairs of a sovereign country. Now, if you look at this map here, you can clearly see how Americans have deployed their military. So you can see that this is the Venezuela, a South American country with a coastline, a very, very long coastline along the Caribbean Sea in the North Atlantic Ocean. And just to the north of Venezuela, you have a small island called as Puerto Rico, and around the islands of Puerto Rico, you have the Virgin Islands that is also controlled by US, and you can see large number of warships being deployed there. Not only that, one warship you can see currently being deployed just very close to the coastline of Venezuela, and that is in the Trinidad and Tobago. And apart from that, we can also see there are aircrafts being deployed in the air bases of US around the Caribbean islands. You have deployment of submarine again in the Caribbean Sea, and this all deployment comes through the working of Southcom, that is Southern Command of US military, which has area of responsibility throughout the entire South American region. Its headquarters, as you can see, is in Doral, that is part of Florida. Now, before moving further, I'd want to bring attention to the fact that Legacy as Academy, we are going to soon commence batches. The batches are going to commence for the regular weekday students who are preparing for examination, full-time preparation, and the batches will run from 10 to 5, Monday to Friday. The batch is going to start today itself on 16th of October. Weekend batches already we have started on 4th of October, and the next set of batch is going to start on 25th of October. In this program, which ensures that we have comprehensive coverage of GS paper, one-to-one mentorship and doubt-solving sessions, regular interactions with educators, and because the preparation of UPSC requires an integrated approach, we also focus on ensuring that students are enrolled and are encouraged to participate in daily mains answer writing practice, and also students have to be aware about their strengths and weaknesses, and thus we have also designed test series in this context for both prelims and mains. If you want to know more detail about the program feature, you can give a call to the number being displayed here, or you can click the link in the description box of this particular video. Now, coming back to this particular topic, obviously, as this attacks by US Navy has continued in the South American, in what you call as in North Atlantic and Caribbean Sea, Venezuela also has reacted. In this context, the president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, he has ordered military drills in the major shantytowns of coastal areas, and that is called as Miranda State. Not only that, he also has mobilized all units of civil administration as well as army and police to ensure that any attack over Venezuela can be answered can be answered resolutely. Not only that, he also has declared defense of mountains, coast, schools, and factories in whatever way it is required, and he called it as nothing but an effort to win the peace. And in this context, you have also to understand that Nicolas Maduro is accused of having stolen the elections, because it is not the Venezuelan people who voted him in the last presidential election, it was the opposition leader, but he stole the election. That is why his regime also is considered as illegitimate regime by many of the Western countries. Maduro, on the other hand, has accused US of plotting regime change, and thus citizens also, to some extent, we have seen coming in support of Maduro, where we are seeing a long line along many of the major cities and states of Venezuela, where they are ready to enlist themselves, join military, and in case of invasion, they are ready to carry out a counterattack. UN expert, on the other hand, also has condemned the strikes of US as nothing but a sort of extrajudicial executions or killing. On the other hand, Trump has justified all this by saying that Venezuela has, first of all, emptied out its prison in the United States of America, and second, it is a major source of a drug hub, we can say, through which drug is being brought into US. Not only that, for the first time, American president also has accepted that CIA is running a covert campaign and covert mission in Venezuela on the direct directive from the president of USA. Rare open acknowledgement we have seen by US president. We do not see such kind of acknowledgement in generally. So authorization by US president also allows independent or joint mission with US forces by CIA if there is a requirement as such. And this is not for the first time, because CIA, we know, had a long history of operations in Latin America, whether it is Cuba, whether it is Panama, Colombia, and many other countries as such. Now, global reactions have been mixed. Venezuelan foreign minister has condemned it as nothing but an example of war-mongering aggression. Maduro, on the other hand, stated that there cannot be any CIA orchestrated coup d'etat. No to CIA orchestrated coup. Yes to peace. This is a slogan which he gave recently in a rally that he conducted. He also has warned that if the immediate and urgent actions are not taken, Venezuela will become another Iraq or Libya as such, and that will create chaos in the entire South American region. US allies also have remained divided on the Trump's action as such. Now, there is also a large-scale political stake involved here for Trump and Maduro, because you know that Trump is known for using his hardline policy for domestic political gain. He wants to portray himself as a strong president, a president who is fighting against the menace of drug, and these all steps, we can say, these all attacks are nothing but manifestation of the same. Maduro, on the other hand, also faces a crumbling economy and the crisis of legitimacy, and this also is coming in the recent time when we have seen Nobel Peace Prize being awarded to opposition leader of Venezuela, Maria Corina Machado, and thus it is quite possible, as many experts argue, that once Nicolas Maduro's regime is declared as illegitimate, illegal, and he is toppled, C might be called in to support and form a government, and because C has a pro-US friendly stance, America would be happy about this. Apart from that, it also adds moral pressure on Maduro's government to take action against this regard. Now, the bigger picture is that whether it is a war on drug or a proxy conflict, US obviously frames it as an anti-narcotics campaign, but many analysts see it nothing but a power projection and regime destabilization effort in those directions. And this, if it is not contained in the early stage, might risk into turning Caribbean into next Cold War front. Venezuela plays a minor role in drug trade regionally. This is also we have to understand. So the accusation of Trump that Venezuela is a major drug hub is something that also does not match with reality as such. Now, in the last word, we can say that what might happen in the South Caribbean nation, in the South Caribbean Sea and the South American nation. So there are several possible outcomes. First of all, this might be nothing but a limited anti-drug campaign, and gradually we might see some sort of cooling off of the situation. Second, it is also possible that because Trump has stated CIA is operating in Venezuela, it might turn into or transform into a prolonged hybrid conflict as such. And if there is a urgent demand, in that case, Trump can also direct US intervention, and the use of military can be seen in the Venezuela in coming days. Again, we have to understand that Maduro has reiterated no war, yes peace, and the region, however, braces for instability that has not been seen in last couple of decades. That is all about this particular video. If you like the video, please hit the like button, share it with your students, subscribe to the channel for more such content. Thank you very much.